Who invented the map? Muslims. Why? To get to the Kaaba. I'm going to show you the ancient art of map making. Let's get started. What we're going to need, recycled paper. You can make a map any size you want, really, but I chose to do mine poster size. You're going to need a ruler, some scissors, a pencil, glue stick, and any kind of decorative materials that you'd like. Maybe stamps, markers, or stain with some tea. Let's begin. This just looks like paper. I think I'm going to have to treat it. In order to do that, I'm going to have to stain it, and I think I could use something like tea or coffee, something that is dark, that's going to make it look more ancient. Oh, look at this. I have some tea here. To stain my paper, I'm going to set down a towel to absorb some of that liquid. I brewed some tea, and now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take those tea bags and I'm just going to use it like a sponge, and I'm going to just squish it onto my paper to make it look a little more dark brown. So you could do that all over. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to crumple this up, and I'm just going to put it inside some tea. So when you crinkle this, let's see. What we're trying to do is we're trying to make it look like it's been used, it's weathered, it's old. By crinkling it up, we'll add some texture to it. Now what we're going to do is we're going to let that dry. I'll be right back. I've got some errands to run. I am a mom after all. Ah, I love the thrift store. You can find so many great deals there. And you know what? You're saving the environment. All right, so I've done a few things to this paper since we last saw each other. Besides the tea and crinkling it up, is I took some chalk once it was dry, and then I rubbed it across to make those areas appear a little bit darker. So just like this, lightly spread the chalk across. Another technique that I used was a little bit of ink from my stamp, and I just stamped in certain places. Not the whole thing, just highlighting some areas. And then what you can do is you can make the edges so that they're not so perfect. You can just rip it, not too much, just a little bit to make it look like it's a little beat up. I tried to burn the edges just a little bit to see how that would work. I don't recommend you doing that on your own, only if an adult is with you and you have the necessary things to make sure that you're being safe. Once you're done treating your paper, you're going to add some of the basic elements of maps. So cartographers or map makers will use some pretty basic elements in all of their maps. For example, a title, a compass rose that helps tell the direction of the map, symbols that will identify things that we want to include on our map, like landmarks or terrain, a key so that then you know what those symbols actually stand for. And if you're willing to try this, I challenge you to do a scale. A scale helps us determine the distance. For example, 1 inch equals a mile. So on my map, every inch will be a mile in real life. I started my map with a plan. I had to do some research because I've never been on Hajj before. And so I was looking, where am I going? And what are the significant places that I should include on my map? And then how far apart are those places? So I sketched out where I think I'm going to put those on my map. To fit a big place on a map, everything needs to be scaled down to the same size. So on my scale, I have 1 inch for every mile. So I decided to highlight 5 basic actions that are performed during Hajj. Planning to lay everything out first and then glue it down. So from Mecca to Mount Arafat, it's going to be 12 miles, which would equal 12 inches. So for every inch on my map, in real life, I would be going a mile. I'm going to set the Grand Mosque down, which is in Mecca. So I'm going to measure from Mecca to Arafat where I'm going to place them on my map. Next, Muzdalifa is going to be 8 miles from Mecca, or 13 kilometers. So I'm going to measure 8 inches, 1 inch for every mile. Then from Muzdalifa to Mina, it's 3.1 miles. So I'm going to measure that, mark it, place it there. So sometimes on a map, there might be a section that's highlighted. So what I want to do is show a close-up of the Kaaba. And so I'll just create a line here and show what you would be seeing in that small area. If we reference my key, you'll be able to reference what's happening in each of these 5 basic steps. So number 1, Tawaf is circling around the Kaaba counterclockwise 7 times in Mecca, and then Sa'i, walking 7 times between the hills of Safa and Marwa, and drinking from the Zamzam well. Number 2, camping out at Mina, Mabit, in the vast tent city. It looks like a sea of tents from what I've seen online. Number 3, Waquf, prayer from noon to dusk in the plains of Mount Arafat. Number 4, Mabit, again collecting pebbles and spending the evening under the night sky in Muzdalifa. And number 5, Rami, throwing the pebbles at the Jamarat stone pillars. And now I'm ready to glue that on. First stop at the Kaaba in Mecca, we're going to perform Tawaf and walk around the Kaaba 7 times. So I put 7 rings around, and then we're going to perform Sa'i of the 2 hills, Safa and Marwa, and that is 7 times. So I did 7 rings. Then we're going to take off to a place to sleep for the evening in Mina, in the tents overnight. And next, we'll go to the plains of Mount Arafat and gather around the famous hill and pray to Allah and ask for forgiveness. Then in the evening, we'll head on over to Muzdalifa, where we will pick up small pebbles and spend the night under the night sky. Then head back to Mina, over to Jamarat to throw those pebbles at the pillars. And now it's your turn. What is your sacred journey of Hajj? Submit your example on the Flip community. I can't wait to see what you come up with.